Hey guys, and welcome back to Sundari Broadcast System. Today I have Dom with me and guest star Shane,
Hello,
our
guys.
California friend.
Wearing a Yankees hat.
Yes.
Hi.
Today we are going to be talking about Obi-Wan Episode 5. And I'm going to just start off with, that was an episode.
That was. I don't want to say, I don't want to throw on the term. I don't think that this term's right. The word, what a clusterfuck that was, which.
Dom, we can't hear you.
Wow. Instantly goes out.
Yeah.
Balls. Okay.
There we go.
Could you hear anything of what I was saying?
We heard clusterfuck. That was the last thing we heard.
I don't want to throw the term I'm just. What an episode! What a clusterfuck of an episode in a good way. Which, ooh.
Shane, you still there?
Did we just lose him?
I think so. We'll just.
Yep.
Until
Well, we just lost our guest star.
we'll give him a minute to fix things. But yeah, that was a lot happened to that episode.
Oh, yes.
Honestly, I have notes on screen and on paper, and I don't even know where to fucking start with what to talk about. All right, I know where to start. I called it.
You did. Whoever, if you've been watching from the beginning, from actually the first beginning episodes, which not that long ago, Charlie had a theory that Riva was one of the younglings in that opening scene in the first episode, and the motives and you guessed right on, also on the motives that it's like personal. It was Anakin. Anakin was actually the one slashing them.
And
slashed her.
I mentioned that, noticed that she had grabbed at her side, that it was either recent trauma or some severe trauma that just caught, there are certain triggers. And again, that was spot on. I saw that. I'm like, I can't believe I actually got that right.
You're right on the money. You are correct on every point.
Checking on Shane to see what's going on with him.
It's also an amazing character. Well, it's an amazing arc. So willing to do a Jedi willing to turn to the dark side and serve under the person who killed her, who slaughtered her friends, killed other Jedi just to get to him.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's that character, that character motive is so. It's deep. It's very deep.
Yeah, and like from episode 1, I could tell. Oh, hold on. And Shane is back.
Sorry about that.
But from episode 1, I was able to tell Riva isn't going to be your just cut and paste inquisitor of she just wants to do whatever she's told. She has a motive behind what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that actually play out was great.
Exactly. That was freaking cool. There is oh gosh. I can't even think of what else to talk what next to talk about.
There's so much in this episode. Shane, just overall thoughts of the episode, and we're going to go into detail as we go.
When when it comes to episode 5, I think it's easily one of the best episodes for Kenobi right now. Like, we thought 3 was amazing. This episode just blew our minds. Just with everything we got with the, like, everybody can be calm down now. We're all satisfied. We got our Anakin. We got Anakin back now. About those flashbacks. It was just, that caught me off guard. I think overall this episode's a 10 out of 10 for how the episode stays, like, pacing perfect. Villains, obviously, the explaining of everything, kind of coming back around and making a full circle and everything. I think everything about this episode was just perfectly amazing, especially with the flashbacks linking to the episode.
Yeah, those flashbacks were really great because it finally got all of the haters to finally shut up about, oh, we need to get some Clone Wars flashbacks. Clone Wars flashbacks. Like,
we got both.
You can now, like, you're happy. You got your pre-Clone Wars flashback and you got your Order 66 flashback. Like,
yeah. 2 Anakins from 2 movies, same Anakin, 2 movies,
and
1 episode.
Even then, going back to that, people, like, all the haters, kind of like, even people who are still hating on it and, like, complaining about maybe it wasn't a Clone Wars flashback. I don't think we needed a Clone Wars flashback, to be honest with you. I think what we got for the episode 2 flashback was perfect because, honestly, we've seen 8 seasons of Clone Wars. We've seen all that. We don't need a flashback anymore.
Yeah,
and like I was saying in our previous episodes, it would, like, everyone wants Clone Wars flashbacks. It takes so, like, we wouldn't have Kenobi right now if they were doing flashbacks because they'd have to take an animated scene and make it live action, and that would push back Kenobi even further. So we wouldn't be watching it right now. We'd be maybe watching it next year, the year after, because there's just so much they would have to, like, cut into the show, but also help the actors portray what's done in animation.
Yeah, and they're doing they're trying to keep it as precise and flowing as possible, and it can't, and like as what fans want, like to a degree. They're giving them what they want, but you can point out the details that, like, I don't want to say contradict, but just differ from what is original. For instance, like the Grand Inquisitor's facial features, it's still him. Anakin's like Hayden Christensen's wrinkles in young like Attack of the Clones Anakin, like you it's noticeable, but it's still Anakin. It's still the Clone Wars, and like same thing with the clones' armor. It's still them, but it's not like, okay, what I'm trying to say is it's still them, but to a degree of how much money they took in time, but it's still telling a great story.
Shane, anything to add to that before we move on? Honestly, I have to agree on everything that Dominic said right there. Just everything, like, going like how you guys been talking about, like, even if we did Clone Wars flashbacks, it would have taken us forever to get to where we are with Kenobi, because you have to take an animated scene, like you said, Charlie, and bring it into live action, and that takes money and time to do, and a lot of stuff to happen, because depending on the scene, you can have God knows how many characters in there, and you have to like get them all back, So it takes time, and you know what? As a Star Wars fan, I'm satisfied with what we got in this episode, even when it comes to like what people are complaining about, like the Grand Inquisitor's face. Don't really care about it.
Don't really care. Anakin's wrinkles, I haven't heard that much of, other than someone de-aging. I'm like, on YouTube, it's like, are you that nitpicky?
Yeah. Like, I think it was a little interesting to watch how that person de-aged Anakin, but even then I was like, I'm satisfied with what we got, because instead of getting a CGI de-aged Anakin, I have Hayden Christensen's Anakin from.
And his Hayden's voice now fit like his voice is also deeper now. Like, they didn't decide to de-age that, which I think is a good thing, because it shows off the aspect of, in my opinion, Clone War, the voice actor for Anakin in the Clone Wars, how his voice is much deeper than Christensen then. I think his voice now fits in that aspect,
Yeah, and this is the last thing I'm going to touch on right now for the trying to move animation to live action. A lot of the times, excuse me, in season 7 for the Siege of Mandalore, when it was Ahsoka versus Maul, they did mocap for that, motion capture, and that was amazing.
Oh yeah.
But they did a lot of the animation. They also did mocap for, but the people that are being mocapped aren't always necessarily the actors that are portraying that character. So you might see Obi-Wan do like a triple kick, side flip, whatever in the animated series, but then Ewan McGregor is not going to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it just brings up more and more issues trying to get into live action, and that's why I'm glad we didn't get actual Clone Wars flashbacks. Maybe a flashback from like Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, where it was actually like during like the fighting of the Clone Wars. That would have been nice, but I'm not upset that's not in there because it necessarily didn't. It wouldn't have added to the story too much aside from, oh, Obi-Wan has PTSD, like we kind of figured he does.
Yeah. Especially being on a... Yeah, there was also... pretty sure this has also been described. Like, talks of how Alec Guinness, back in the day... like, Obi-Wan played by Alec Guinness, he's much older, so we would think he's just an older man. No, he's like... That's like supposed to be Obi-Wan at 50 years old.
So...
it can be like a desert plant, like, cause, like, if you're...
I actually saw something just like maybe an hour ago on TikTok where this guy was talking about how people are like, oh, it's different actors, it's the two sons. He's like, no, it's actually done right because Ewan McGregor is currently 51. Sir Alec Guinness was 60 when he portrayed Obi-Wan Kenobi. At present time in universe, there's 9 years left between the Kenobi series and A New Hope. There's 9-year difference between Ewan McGregor and Sir Alec Guinness in their age portrayals of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it is perfect where it is.
Yes.
Like I would go out on a limb here and say like Disney planned that. There's like, we're gonna create this Obi-Wan, at the time it was a movie, but we want our actor to be in a believable age range.
Mm-hmm.
He is, we'll say 48. Let's wait till he's 51. That way, because we want this movie to take place 9 years before A New Hope. That way, he's exactly 9 years younger than Sir Alec Guinness was. I would like that. That is a theory I would subscribe to heavily. That Disney planned it. I would if they come out and say, yeah, we planned this, I'd be like, Shane, pay up. Even though you didn't put money on it, pay up, Shane.
And I would pay up gladly because that's an awesome theory.
And
I think that, honestly, knowing Disney, it's probably true.
Hi, Rosie. Oh, surprise guest dog. All right. What talking point next? We have... Okay. I want to start this one. This is Shane's. Let's talk about that Vader scene. Them getting into the Jabin temple and then using the Force to pull down that ship. Most people would probably think, oh, that is a reference to Starkiller, meaning maybe it'd be from The Force Unleashed. Maybe it's a recanonization of Starkiller. No, in my opinion, I think everyone here could say.
So as much as I love Galen Merrick,
he's an amazing
as a character, as a video game character, he is amazing. But he would not work in canon. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's so strong, he can beat Vader and Sidious," because he's a video game character.
It's a video game character. Yeah, it's like he has. It's main antagonist. What is that called?
Protagonist. He's the main protagonist. And like Shane here is a very big Sidious fan. We always give him crap about it, but
the line.
But if Starkiller became canon, like it would honestly break canon because of how powerful Starkiller is in the games. They can't scale that properly because Sidious is supposed to be the most powerful Force user until Luke becomes Grandmaster of the Jedi Order, of the new Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
So having just some random fucker show up and is more powerful than the most powerful Force user in the galaxy, that wouldn't work.
It also breaks canon because, as George Lucas has stated, Anakin is the chosen one. He is considered to be the most powerful. Even in the Vader suit, he is. I would even argue nowadays is more powerful than Sidious. And it's just he's been manipulated to think he's weaker.
And it would also now that we have new canon, it would most definitely break canon because Kamino was destroyed. The planet still exists, but all the cloning facilities on Kamino no longer exist. The Empire destroyed those. And part of Starkiller's story is he's a clone. Not the original Galen Merrick is Galen Merrick. He born and bred that way. But then the one we see in Force Lineage 2, which is the one people love so dearly, is a clone. And we haven't seen in canon yet them be able to clone a Force user. They can create a clone body that Sidious, through dark side magic and alchemy and rituals, was able to put his spirits into the body and tap into the Force. But it destroyed the body very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So creating a whole new Force user without using all that dark side magic wouldn't work. There's some people theorizing that Starkiller is the one in the bacta tank we see in Jedi Survivor trailer. I say no.
Cloud. I will stand by this. That guy in the bacta tank and that in the whatever it's called, I forget. It's
Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor. He looks like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, and I will stand by that. That's not.
That guy in the back tank is probably completely someone like probably even a new character. I'm not even going to argue that as a character in canon that we've already seen. It's probably just a new character that they're building up for whatever reason. Well, I do want to go back to the talking point of just that scene with Vader because it just demonstrates how powerful Vader is. Like if you're a Star Wars fan, if you are like a true Star Wars fan, and you've read the comics, you've seen everything else, you already know how powerful Vader is just in his prime. For people that have not really read those comics, and for people that have like not seen those and gone into further detail, they like either watch the animated shows or just stick to purely live action Star Wars. You see Vader for the first time and like just being his full power and pulling down a ship that is like twice his, like God knows how much his size, and he just brings it down with too much like ease. Now, yeah, he struggles a little bit because obviously their thrusters are going, but like even then he still pulls that ship down and then rips it to shreds.
And see, like
that's the size of like that. That's like that is like a 10 or at least 50 times smaller, smaller than a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
And see, like, this is one thing, like, I will admit to the day I die. When me and my buddy Trevor went to go see Rogue One when it first came out, we saw that hallway scene. He loves dark side users. He is a Sith till the day he dies for the better part of it. And he's like, dude, look at how powerful Darth Vader is. I was like, yeah, that's a cool scene, but it's just non-Force sensitive rebels. Like, I was giving it shit, but I still appreciate the scene for what it was. It's an amazing scene. But it really didn't show the power of Vader. It shows that he was amazing against non-Force sensitive combatants. But then that scene we got Wednesday of Vader just ripping the ship down, ripping it open, that was like, yes, that is the power of Vader. This is why he is feared.
That's why you don't mess with him.
Because, like, in universe, we know a lot of people thought he was a droid. Like,
that's right, yeah.
An Imperial droid that was just made to carry a lightsaber. Because could droids predict blaster bolts and deflect them with the skill of a Jedi? Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not that hard. Like at that point, with that type of technology, it wouldn't be that hard. But seeing a ship get ripped out of the sky, yeah, that's like, oh shit, that's Vader.
It's like you think he's a droid up until he uses the Force. Granted, there are a few droids that can use the Force, but it's also completely rare in droids. Like that's
completely Legends. We don't have any canon droids that can use the Force.
We have one that's like J3D1 who thinks he's a Jedi, who is programmed to think he's a Jedi, but I don't know. I highly doubt he's Force sensitive. Most likely not. But and other than that, it's just you think he's a droid until he uses the Force, and that's it. As well, I also on that same scene when the third sister comes in to get her final strike, There's something confusing about that scene. I don't know, that just confused me a bit. One, I'll get the positives out of the way first. That fight scene. It was showing with. Keep in mind, he didn't even use his own lightsaber.
This is what I was saying. I was watching. I'm like, the disrespect. He was just disrespecting her the entire time.
And striking her in the same spot as well as what he did back in the temple.
Well, like you know how the Inquisitor lightsaber does obviously the spinning motion. It's obviously it's an intimidation factor. We've learned that. And then when I watch that scene and Vader advances on that when she's doing that, I'm like, Vader does not care in any shape or form.
He purposely slows it down. Correct me if I'm wrong as well. He broke it using the Force.
No.
He didn't?
No. So those lightsabers, it's not a very widely seen thing, but they can, like Cal's lightsaber, disconnect into two separate sabers. Because I think it was the 10th brother. All Inquisitors had the same lightsaber, but he carried his separated like this because it suited his fighting style a lot better because he was blind.
Oh, okay.
He used the Force to see. He also used his hearing to be able to see. But he used his lightsabers separately instead of connected. But you still see they have the curve for like across for like a handguard.
Okay. That was just very confusing to me because, like, when I see her on the ground and her saber together, I thought from where I was sitting, I literally thought he broke it and then just handed.
No,
like, he disconnected it. But the disrespect he gave her to that. I love I think one scene that caught me so happy with just how Vader's clean, how clean he is, of how he pushed the lightsaber up and then force pushed her back.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a clean hand motion that he just did.
Yeah, like he
and I love the fact that he's just like he's like, no, I'm not using my saber. I'll use yours though. Then he finally gives her the respect to lock blades with her, but that's about it. And he's like,
make this worth my time. Like,
if you even think about it, he didn't really move all that much when he dueled with her.
No,
he just sidestepped and turned to wear her out. Like, we see that a lot, not just in Star Wars, but look at real world sword fighting. If somebody who is of obviously superior skill is fighting somebody who is of lesser skill, they will toy with them like that, make them wear themselves out. They'll just kind of step to the side, step back, turn around, just doing whatever they can to wear the other person out without expending energy themselves.
Which I was smart. And then, even then, we all knew Vader could easily kill her on the spot. Even when she first tried to kill him, he held it, he could easily kill her. I think Vader, in my personal opinion, Vader is like, let's make this worth my time because I just had to let that man get away again.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that he also strikes her on the same spot as well. Probably, he has opportunity to kill her, but to improve.
Let's talk about the fact that he knew the entire time.
He knew, yeah.
Just more disrespect. More disrespect. I've always known, youngling. Just like,
yeah.
Well,
what?
For real quick, even going back to that. So even really quick, just touching on that again. I've heard some complaints like, still, how does Reva know that Anakin's Lord Vader? Like, how people like, how can she be like, take this man that she saw in the Jedi Temple with a blue lightsaber and immediately apply it to this giant cyborg now masked man? Those two like they're Force sensitives. They felt there's like, if you're a Force sensitive, you're like own kind of connection to the Force, your special way. And people can tell who people are just by that. And she probably instantly knew when she saw Vader for the first time. That's Anakin Skywalker. That's the man who murdered my friends. And he probably did the same thing. He probably knew who this youngling was, and he probably just he knew who she was right off the bat. That
and probably the clones referred to him as Lord Vader in the temple.
Yeah.
So
she played dead.
Yeah, she played dead. So probably one of the clones ran up to Vader and was like, Lord Vader, we have taken the archives or whatever. And she now knows, oh, this is Lord Vader.
Yeah.
And like, as well as like to get the fighting stance right. Like, I'm going to reference this. Like, they would train to get, he would have trained with her as well. The fact that he also knew and even gave her the rank of Grand Inquisitor just to
toy with her.
To toy with her. I find it so funny that like on the wiki page, I'm gonna pull this up. On the wiki page of on the Wikipedia page of Grand Inquisitor, it says up to, it's like, who so far has been Grand Inquisitor. So you have the Grand Inquisitor from 19 BBY to 9 BBY. Then under that is Reva, the third sister, from 9 BBY to 9 BBY. and then later down, the Grand Inquisitor from 19 BBY to 4 BBY. It's just the something about that just makes you laugh so much. Grand Inquisitor.
Right there.
Yep. Right. Yep. It's just the. In fact, it's just the disrespect there. Like, I don't think, would it count as disrespect if you wouldn't be shown at all? Because it's just showing from, she was only had it for less than a day.
Yeah, a few hours.
Only for a few hours. You wouldn't have it ranked there. Look, that's just a toy with her.
Yeah, it really was a toy with her. That's just more disrespect. That is great.
Very disrespectful. And it's like, that is amazing. Ooh. All right.
Okay, so one talking point Shane wanted to bring up was the on-screen killing of younglings. Like, this is the first time we've actually seen it. Like, it's always a bit
aside from the holograms, but this is more important. Like,
yeah,
like this is the actual killing of younglings. I feel like we're going into an era of Star Wars where we're seeing the more darker side. Like, we're seeing what fans would have wanted in Rebels. The more dark, like they wanted like more on-screen deaths, more the dark side, literally the darker side of Star Wars.
And like, while originally this was like geared towards kids, like Star Wars as a whole was geared towards kids. I put air quotes around that because Star Wars is for everybody, and that's what George Lucas made it from the get-go, is for everybody, not just for kids, not just for adults. It's for anybody and everybody. But due to the times that 4 through 6 came out and then 1 through 3 came out, people were kind of weird about seeing like brutality. But George Lucas made it a point to where like, well, yes, I can't. Well, no, I can't show the brutality on screen. It definitely is there, and we know it's there because of this. And he like hints at it through dialogue or whatever, or like background scenes. But now that the times have changed and people are more willing to accept like brutality and gore in shows,
like
we're finally getting like how brutal Star Wars can be. It's not always brutal, but it can be very, very brutal.
It's like, and there was also mentioned for these future shows, it's going to be way dark. Like I know Andor is like we were like at Star Wars Celebration. I think the executive producer or director said it's a lot more darker.
Mm-hmm.
Back, bitches.
Scene change.
Yes.
Oh, yep.
Closing that door real quick.
I thought that was a light. I'm going to be honest. I thought that was one of your lightsabers.
One of my lightsabers?
Yeah, it was like at the edge of it was at the edge of the room, and I thought you had a lightsaber hanging up.
No, I did not.
Oh, look, the Youngling Slayer 9000.
Yes.
Yep.
The exact weapon that killed Reva's friends.
Yes. Are we still on the talking point of that actually?
We were talking about like how dark Star Wars is finally getting. Like it's not always going to be dark. It's not meant to be completely dark, but there are moments it's supposed to be like really, really dark. And the fact that times are now to the point where people are willing to accept seeing that on screen. Like back when 4, 5, and 6 came out, seeing a lot of gore and brutality wasn't really a thing. Like it had to be a specific type of movie for that.
Yeah, like for example, I will kind of move to this. So I was like, Revenge of the Sith. The only people you really see die in the entire movie is these Jedi, that like Kiadi Mundi, Aayla Secura, Plo Koon, but you'll never see the younglings die because that's just
these adults. It's children. Like you do.
It's horror graphic. But then you think about it, this Kenobi show, like how Hayden Christensen and Ian McGregor said it, this show is kind of meant for the kids that did watch those, like grew up with the prequels and now are older. And now they finally get to see how Anakin kind of killed the younglings.
Yeah, and we were talking about how Andor is going to be a really dark show.
Like 100% that show is going to be. I want it to be dark.
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused why there's clones in it, but that's a topic for another day.
Well, it's because Andor is set, from my understanding, is set like very early into the Imperial reign, to where there still be a lot of clones around.
That is true, actually. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
But also, if I remember correctly, Andor and his like family and his friends were separatists.
Oh, I don't know, really. Oh, yeah.
Before they became rebels. So even if it did like show Clone Wars era stuff, they'd still be clones against them because of them being separatists.
Exactly. Yeah.
And here, so I want to move to this talking point real quick, if I can try to move this.
Go right ahead.
Because this is just crazy. I want to go back to the obviously first like 30 minutes of the episode, and then constantly happen through the episode. It's the flashbacks with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker and their little spar. And there's two talking points I kind of want to get on about this. Is one, how that spar, which we all know now, kind of links to the entire plot of the episode. It's how these two fight, and they're basically, even if they're separated right now as Obi-Wan and Vader, they still know each other insanely well.
Mm-hmm. And like one thing that going off of that is the lesson of the sparring match and the episode as a whole is patience. And all these fans that were like, "Oh, this show is terrible because we don't have this, we don't have that."
Patience, younglings.
Do you have patience though to wait it out? Because guess what? The show's not over. We still have one more episode, and then we have season 2 that is rumored
Rumored
to be
not
to be in production or be in production soon, there's still a lot of Kenobi content to come. Like if it be just the one more episode, and then we get books and comics or whatever, or if we see him in Jedi Survivor or in other shows that are set in the same time period or around the same time period, there's still a lot to go on. People just like, as a community, Star Wars community, we need to learn to be patient and see what, like, wait for Star Wars to release what's going on, rather than us getting impatient and aggravated at why we don't have this, why we don't have that.
That's the same thing when I'm like, because I'm a big fan. That's the same thing as like talking about like Bad Batch. I'm a big fan of Bad Batch, and yes, it's like, I know there's a lot of weird twists and turns and contradictory to it, but it's also an era of it's also literally the beginning era of the Empire that we've not seen. And with season 2 coming out, it's going to be very cool. I'm going to be honest, I still need to see the trailer for it, but I've seen some aspects of it. I've been behind a lot of things that I still need to catch up on.
Yes, but just kind of like moving back to the comment, the talking point. It's just how that spar relates to the entire plot of the episode, but also how that spar is literally the episode 3 fight between the two.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a giant mental battle between the two. Like Obi-Wan knows that Vader's going to do this. Vader knows Obi-Wan's going to do that because it's happened before. Not play by play, like, oh, Obi-Wan's trying to run away from Anakin. He's gonna hop on a ship and use a decoy ship. It's literally the fact that he uses a feint when they're sparring, and he's gonna use a feint again. And Vader knows that, like, he can almost predict that there's a feint coming. And then when it does happen, he's not surprised. He's like, well, that happened again.
But just like even then, and like how I like to go back to this, I don't know, you guys read the prequel books that like of 1, 2, and 3 that they release. But even then, the books even talk about how these two sparred for hours and hours and hours together. They know each other better than brothers. They know, like they are basically combined. They are the greatest warrior to exist. You think about it. Like, because obviously Obi-Wan's master defense, Anakin is an amazing offensive play, like amazing offense. Like those two combined on a dueling playing platform are two of the most like incredible duelists ever. And just for like those two, like I said, like we sparring for hours. These two, like you said, Charlie, mentally know one another. They know exactly how their moves are going to be, and going to a deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith, you even know how they come up with stuff. Like I really wish they didn't leak that scene. It's kind of funny, but like the famous like here's like my move that I'm gonna do. Anakin's like I got you, and they know like the code, you know.
Oh, beep is up. Sorry.
You're good.
I'm sorry. It's their dynamic. Like that's what I sadly wish they did not. I wish they sadly did not remove, because I wish we could have seen more of their dynamic within the movies. I think it's what it's showing through now.
All right, let's talk about the end of the episode when the holo communicator was found. So Reva doesn't know who Luke is. She just knows that there's a boy on Tatooine that belongs to Owen, a dude named Owen, which she probably remembers who Owen is. Yeah. But she now knows that there's a boy on Tatooine that Obi-Wan is protecting. And that Senator Bail Organa is also invested in this boy.
I think if she can pick up some tips, I don't know. Reva's smart. Like as much people the fans don't like her. Reva is a smart character.
She is.
She knew who Vader was by obviously certain things, but she is very smart. We've seen her intelligence throughout the show. If you really think about it, we see her intelligence of luring out Kenobi, how he's going to act, how he's going to play. Like she kind of doesn't know him as just know him as well as Vader, but she still kind of learns and still is very smart. And for her to see that hollow communicator, it worries me, not because I'm worried about the show or anything and bad things. It just worries me because she's intelligent. And so hearing help the children, if he's found out about the children, the boy, like Reva, I think is going to put 2 and 2 together. That it's not maybe she's not going to put 2 and 2 together. That's Anakin Skywalker's kids, Lord Vader's kids. I think she's going to put something together that this boy is important and most likely force sensitive, and Kenobi was on Tatooine protecting him.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, though. She's basically when she finds it, she's basically now been deranked, literally left to die. And assuming that while she is still the third sister and Inquisitor, she's not going to be respected if she comes back. They're leaving her to die, thinking that she's dead. What motive would she have if she would take Luke back to Vader?
Wow, says revenge does wonders for the will to live. It's just, yes, perfectly all examples, and I think she's going to take this 2 tips. Vader stating Obi-Wan was wise to use you against me. She's now going to target Obi-Wan, in my opinion. She knows she can't be Vader. Obi-Wan, she thinks she can be at least.
Because he's a scared old man.
Yeah. So she might honestly go to Tatooine just to try to fuck with Obi-Wan and try to get revenge on him, because he basically left her for dead as well. He tricked her he played her feelings. If you really look at so he plays into her feelings of the attack Vader and the charging.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that she may give the toy? She may find the toy and then give it to Luke?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's gonna be the Obi-Wan thing. I think Obi-Wan's gonna, no matter what, get back the toy.
So what I'm thinking is, so in Legends we know that there were multiple accounts where Obi-Wan protected Luke and the Lars family from outside threats, be it Tuskens, whatever. I'm thinking that he's going to protect Luke, Senator Bail Organa, and Leia from Reva on Tatooine, and it's going to kind of push Owen to accept him giving Luke this toy.
Yeah, and also the fact, they're on their way to Florham, right? Which I can't remember.
They're going to I don't know where they're going, actually.
They didn't state where they were going, but they did state at the end of the show that the hyperdrive's low and they're right behind us.
Depending on where Jabim... Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. I think we're definitely getting our last, possibly for the finale in Obi-Wan, a last final Obi-Wan versus Vader fight. Maybe not. Maybe. You never know. But maybe. But I don't. Yeah, I have to agree. I have to say, Charlie, I don't know exactly where they're going, but I think I do definitely know that the Imperial Star Destroyer, which is the Devastator, I believe still, that's Vader's Star Destroyer, is right behind them.
There were also talks that, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if this is all Legends based, but I'm pretty sure we had this conversation before. Obi-Wan used Anakin's lightsaber, right?
Yep.
No.
Sometimes. Not in canon?
Yeah. Not in canon, but in Legends he did.
In Legends, yeah.
All right.
In Legends he used the lightsaber. He loses Young Slayer 9000 to kind of redeem the blade. I mean, you can tell he modifies it. He modified it for the show because it no longer has the gold. Right here, it has the adjusted one for A New Hope, but it's easier to ignite. Which I was talking to Luke about this. Anakin's lightsaber has 2 ignitions.
Mm-hmm. Our friend Luke, not Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, our friend Luke. Ravenlow, he has the button right here and the right here.
So I'm currently looking at a map of the galaxy. And if they're moving at sublights because their hyperdrive is fucked, there's the closest place they can go is Tuskegee. It's within the same system, but it's
or Jabim
as Jabim. Tatooine is
pretty far away.
Yeah, it's not close.
Yikes.
So you're definitely think what's gonna happen by the end. You're definitely getting your maybe Vader versus Obi-Wan fight. I don't know if Obi-Wan's ready to fight him. I know.
I would go with no. That like he might be able to hold his own a little bit more, but he's not gonna be like, yes, let me fight him.
Yeah.
It's more going to be like stalling tactics, engaging just for a little bit, running away, stop, re-engaging, falling back.
And you could definitely tell this in the when you see him in episode 5. You can tell he's actually a little more also he's getting the rust off, and he's more connected to the Force because this is not talking point. I'm just going to this, but even if he does fight him, I think he's got a little bit of a better advantage now than episode 3 when he came to fight him. Kenobi, not Red of the Sith, episode 3 Kenobi. When he first fought him, I think he's got a little bit more advantage because he's now a little bit more connected to the Force and back in it. Because when you see him force push Reva, he force pushes along with like 10 other stormtroopers with her. They go down.
Yeah. Speaking of the troopers, for the people that don't know, for those people that didn't play Fallen Order, haven't read the books or the comics, the troopers that we see that are encased in black and red armor, those are purge troopers. They are special in the fact that they are clone troopers, hand-picked clone troopers that were picked on how well they can kill Jedi. They're the only living clone still in service to the Empire. Because by this point, we don't have many clones left in service to the Empire, if any, aside from the Purge troopers.
Correct me if I am wrong here, but isn't most of Vader's Legion still actually clone troopers?
In Legends, it was. In Legends, it was. But from what we see of in the Bad Batch, is the Empire's trying to get rid of clones as fast as possible because they want an all-human, all-volunteer fighting force.
Yes.
Having clones are a symbol of the Republic. Sidious is trying to destroy the notion of the Republic.
But even then,
because there's so many things that were like images of the Republic that he got rid of. Like, let's look at Star Destroyers. The Venator class Star Destroyer was a superior carrier-based Star Destroyer. It was great for carrying starfighters into combat. But because it was a symbol of the Republic, in Legends, they switched to the Victory class pretty quickly. And then into the Imperial class. Then the Imperial class too. But we don't see any more Venators. And because that was a symbol of the Republic. Everyone that was synonymous with the Republic whenever they thought of the Clone Wars was the Venator. It was a symbol of the Republic Navy. You want to try and get rid of any ideas of the former regime that was in power, destroy the symbols. Destroy what held it all together. Because to a lot of people, the clones were heroes of the Republic. But then we see the trooper on the 501st trooper on Dayoud, homeless, begging for money, can't even get a hot meal. Excuse me. So they're getting rid of clones as fast as possible, and Purge troopers are canon right now that they're the only clones left in service. I'm pretty sure.
And because I think they might be canon that clone commandos will probably be in service still because you can see.
They're in a training capacity. They're not in a combat capacity.
Yeah.
Because we see in Bad Batch, they're being used as trainers. They're training the new batch of TK troopers. And Fallen Order is set 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, and it's majority stormtroopers. It's stormtroopers. It's not clone troopers. while yes, as soon as the Empire rose, clone troopers were dubbed stormtroopers, but the way they act, the way they talk, they're all volunteers. They're not clones. They have their personalities are vastly different.
Yes, and clones are not like a normal stormtrooper. Clones have more of like the combatant experience, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just you got a good point there. But I don't actually know what to say.
Yeah, I was like, I had a talking point, and I like completely forgot what it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember one of my talking point. Oh, how this? I don't know how a lot of people felt about this, but how do you actually guys felt about Tala's death / sacrifice?
Oh,
I think it was fitting.
It was.
Because, so, coming from a military standpoint, you do something and you realize, oh, that's not right. Most people are going to do whatever it takes until they feel they have paid back what they did wrong. And for Tala, that was giving her life in order to protect these refugees, these Force sensitives, protect Leia, protect Obi-Wan, protect her people, and go down against the people that she came to despise.
All right, I like that. I like that. What about you, Dom?
About Tala's death?
Yeah.
Very sad, very heartbreaking. Understandable that I think that I literally expected Obi-Wan to tell, like without hinting towards that Tala died, to literally just say it up front because of the kind of kid Leia is. She knows what she's doing. She's smart. She needed the ladder. She needed that goddamn ladder. And but it's there's a lot I could say, and a lot I cannot think of a lot I can't think of. But yeah,
you're good. You're good. It's just I have to agree with you, said Charlie. It's a fitting death, especially for this character that joined the Empire, because a lot of people joined the Empire because they thought they were doing something right. It was a new order in the galaxy. They thought it was right, and some people still think it's right. They still think they're on the right side of the war. But sorry, wait. Sorry, I didn't think about this, but it is still a fitting death because obviously she realizes the wrong of the Empire and switches sides because of what the Empire is doing to Force sensitive children. And I think it's a fitting death for her to go out sacrificing herself for the greater cause of it's my way to redeem myself for my sins I've caused. So here's my one last ditch effort to at least help one last time.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we can move on to the talking point Tom just posted real quick.
Yeah, not as important, but it's I think it's just a good, fun, little tidbit. If for those that are are on Star Wars TikTok, you may know may know a huge person on there called Rex and Round. He's big. He makes his own clone armor, wears this clone armor a lot, as well as carrying around a lot of lightsabers. When this episode came out, he recently announced the fact that he was on that episode as a Jabiim refugee. And I'm like looking back and seeing pictures. I'm like, he finally. I think it was like satisfying for me, like because he's a person that loves Star Wars, and literally is a nerd to be able to identify the type of gun, type of blaster that he was holding, and to literally it said that he wanted to trade a blast, like a Clone Wars blaster with his like Rebels blaster. This talking about it's not as important, but I just feel it's a nice tidbit.
Yeah, I'm happy that a lot of people that are Star Wars content creators are being a part of actual Star Wars community, in like the actual like Star Wars like like and all their like appreciating fans. But I kind of want to move to this talking point, even though I didn't type it out real quick. And this is not a big one as well. I just want to give some appreciation to General Kenobi kind of popping out of nowhere when he starts giving orders and starts like ordering people around.
Yeah,
well, that was awesome. Like
that was entirely General Kenobi just coming out.
Yeah, and you really see it whenever just the authority he commands in his voice when it's a little thing of getting Leia a ladder after he's like, I trust her. Get her a ladder.
Get her a ladder.
It's just you could not have watched the Clone Wars, know nothing about Obi-Wan, but you hear the command, the authority in his voice. A lot of people are like, he was probably in the military or fought in a war or something.
Yeah. Man's lead.
I mean, it would allude to the fact that Jordan's character called him General. So yeah.
Yes.
I do. Sorry, you can go, Charlie. I heard you. What you were gonna say.
Here's hoping we can be as lucky as Rex and around and get into an actual Star Wars production.
That would be very cool.
Yeah, takes time. Hold up.
LucasArts, make my OC canon.
Yeah, Thrawn.
Thrawn. I mean, Thronk.
Thronk.
I
missed the K.
That's already canon.
I missed the K. Okay. Okay.
Make my Mandalorian Jedi canon. I will come play him.
Die during Order 66?
No, he did not.
Yeah, but they would totally do that.
No.
I will send them my book of what happens to him.
Yeah. No, like, as long as like clones don't hear the order, they don't commit it.
That is something that we have talked about because we have every instance we see of Order 66, the clones hear the command, execute Order 66. The Bad Batch never heard that. Well, they did. Some of them heard it, but like Wrecker, he was away from the group, and
I think Wrecker's caused by just head trauma.
Yeah, he got hit in the head, and his started to activate, but Hunter hears it. Nothing. The Bad Batch is kind of a weird example, but they hear it. It activates. If they don't hear it, it might not activate because my theory is it's a voice activated shit. Like it has to be. It has to be the Emperor's voice saying, "Execute Order 66."
But let me give you an actual great example because Bad Batch is I don't think it's the best example because obviously they're kind of all.
It's not.
Hauser. Hauser's a great example. Hauser.
Yes. I love
Captain
that.
Hauser. There are no Jedi on Ryloth, so he is still perfectly fine if you look at him in the Bad Batch. Like, here's how you know Hauser's completely fine. Like, I think there are 2 or 3 maybe distinct features that you know Hauser's completely fine. He did not give the order to execute anyone. 1, his paint's still on.
Mm-hmm.
2, his voice and how he's talking to right now, Jin. Remember his name right now? Hera's dad. Right now, forgetting his name.
Hera. Yeah. No. Not Hera's his daughter. God damn it.
Cham Syndulla.
It's Cham Syndulla. But well, you hear like how he still finds the Cham, and then how he's kind of like even like hesitant of doing a lot of things. He wasn't given the order, so the chip's not fully activated. And like taking control of all of him and like making him do this and that, and listening to the orders and all of that. Because I think the best feature of you instantly knowing Hauser's fine is his paint is still on. Every time you see a trooper after Order 66, completely white.
That and we start to see it in like episode season 5, season 6 of the Clone Wars, and season 7 especially, is clones start to wear their helmets more and more. And that's like foreshadowing to the Empire, because stormtroopers, especially Yeah, stormtroopers weren't allowed to take off their helmets without permission. Like if they were on duty, they couldn't take off their helmets. If they were off duty and they were in their barracks room, they could take it off, obviously. But like they were very strict with wearing that helmet because that helmet is meant to strike fear. It's a faceless enemy that anybody's having to fight. So you can't like, oh, that's Greg from accounting over there. Like you can't tell who is who. So it's meant to strike fear. That's why the paint went away, and that's why they started to wear helmets more and more. And Hauser doesn't wear his helmets. That we all know his glorious hair.
His hair is awesome.
And I want to point out this as well, very very quickly, because it's just something that needs to be pointed out. When you see, going back to just the clones and knowing when you can tell it's getting up to Order 66 or even past Order 66, I'm just gonna real quick just divert to Clone Wars Season 7 real quick. Clone Wars Season 7, when we get that scene of Ahsoka fighting the clones, the only couple people that you see wearing paint and having armor like that is the Coruscant guard that's with them, Rex, and Jesse. Those are the only three you can identify that you will know that's done. The rest, if you actually look, besides like a couple of the Ahsoka face paint, are all white clones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you just know where 66 happening.
Mm-hmm. Could we also just? I'm trying to figure out is what if it's just if we're saying like Order 66 has to be said from Sidious's voice. Didn't I don't think Crosshair heard it.
He did.
From Sidious?
He was with Hunter and Tech when they were trying to figure out like what was going on. Because like Caleb and Wrecker ran off to go do something, and they were kind of congregating to like kind of figure like Hunter was giving advice on like, hey, this is what needs to happen, and the clone commander was like, the general makes the plans, and then he turns away, gets the order, and it's just in earshot. It's close enough for somebody to hear it, because we also see Depa Balaba kind of turn as she like hears like, what the fuck is that?
Yep.
Yeah, because like I was thinking
because Hunter hears and he's very confused about what's going on, like why all of a sudden the clones are attacking the Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Tech also says it too, like because that's the only thing that I could think of, because at that moment like Crosshair would also be there too. He would have heard Tech say Order 66. Nothing would happen to the Bad Batch, but I would think that it would be like, yes, or Crosshair would be like, yeah, I heard it, I follow. It's a sleeper agent type thing.
I think it just depends on effects. Depends on effects, user. But even just Bad Batch. The only one problem I have with Bad Batch is, maybe you guys can help me correct on this. The only one problem is how quick everybody's like, the Jedi died. Cool. Have fun.
There's gotta be I think there's gotta be like time skips between because like you only see it from Bad Batch's perspective, and which is mostly the Imperials. Their people are fine. The Empire may be fine with it, but we rarely see people like.
I really want to see that citizen look of like.
So one thing, we're gonna start wrapping this up here soon. But one thing is, you'll hear this a lot in a lot of different like Star Wars YouTubers and Star Wars TikTokers that talk like canon stuff. The Republic was the Empire in everything but name by the end of the war, or by Episode 3. They were the Empire in everything but name. They had restricted civil liberties. They had put in so many different policies that just made it harder for the regular citizens to do things because they were afraid of like separatist involvements or whatever. And then once they become the Empire, they're able to just all these like laws and shit they had written up and just hadn't passed yet, they're just able to pump them out because it's now a totalitarian government. They can do whatever they want.
Empire.
And you also see like a jump between episodes of Tarkin like getting that like literally skyrocketing through the ranks. Like you see him one with like I forget what it was, but then he gets to to.
Well, he was also a close personal friend of
Sidious
Palpatine.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Which
I think if you,
transitioning into the Empire, Palpatine wanted people that he could trust that were close to him, and so he immediately put those people in power. And Tarkin was immediately put into a place of power. He was made a governor of a certain sector of space, and then later on became a Grand Moff when they did away with the Senate. Grand Moff became the title where they just Grand Moffs could do whatever they wanted. They didn't have to answer to the Senate.
Yeah. Even though when the Senate was around, they were still not answering to the Senate.
The Senate, talk of Senate.
If you really want, sorry, real quick, Dominic. If you actually look at the Andor trailer, you can see how empty the Senate is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just talk of the Senate and most stuff, and I think Andor is going to show from Mon Mothma's point of view of this Senate, which I really.
Dom, we can't hear you.
Thing keeps unplugging. Right, that's a thing that I would love to see in Andor, which we are going to see. Sorry, just how the Senate is just going to progress throughout the show of Andor.
Yeah,
I'm going to be standing from now on.
It's finally something I actually really wanted to see is what's the Imperial Senate doing?
Mm-hmm. There's just talk. All we hear for up till now is just like talk of what the Senate does, and we only see like a few senators in the in the Imperial era, like the Separatist one and Batch. Mon Mothma is an important one as well. I think as well. Oh yeah, Bail Organa is also a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I want to see what they do with the Senate a little bit more when it comes to Andor. But overall, I'm just gonna reboot back to Obi-Wan. Overall, real quick, overall, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The show has lived up to my expectations already. Even if people complain about 4 being a filler, really wasn't.
It wasn't.
No.
At all. 4 had a plot to it, you idiot. Filler is not plot at all. But even then, filler, episode 4, as much, in my opinion, episode 4 might be the weakest one in the chain. But even then, it's still a great episode. Episode 5 is gonna have the top reign right now, 3, and it's probably gonna go either 2 or 1 or 1 or 2, and then 4, or maybe even 4 gets above 1 and 2 for me. I have to relook at all of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just closing thoughts in general about what we've talked about, and any thoughts for the future. Just keep it brief so we can hurry up and close up. And
I'm looking.
All right. Okay. Reva, I really want to see by episode 6. What's that like? That ending to the show. I really want to. It was definitely what, but I really want to see that come to a close and see what that's all about. Really want to. Hopefully, we get that one last match duel between Obi-Wan and Vader. Maybe not, but still kind of edging out for it. But even then, if there is a season 2, I'm all for it. This show is already great. I'm not totally against even getting any more Kenobi. Even if there's another duel in season 2, it honestly could still work no matter what you do, even another Vader and Obi-Wan duel. Because no matter what, in my opinion, Vader's always gonna win against Kenobi. But maybe that one last duel in a season 2 would be great. But overall, I think this show is just great. Episode 5, the greatest.
Shane, we have a request from the audience.
Oh God!
Take the hat off.
God.
From Jordan himself. Yep, that's the Imperial cut.
There you go. The hat is off.
All right, Dom, closing thoughts.
I think this is a great of the limited series of Star Wars that we've seen so far. I think by far Obi-Wan has been living up, as you said, to expectations. I see the next episode. I see the last episode. I sense that Reva's death is coming in this. I could be wrong if they are going to be going for another season. If the rumors are true, I would love to see what they do. But since she's the new Inquisitor, and as well as the fourth sister,
third sister.
No. She's the new as being the third, and then we have the new fourth sister.
Oh, okay.
It's just that there's information that we still don't know about them yet. Fourth specifically. However, I think this episode could lead to her death. Reva's.
Yeah.
I would also like to hear them say like the classic line, "You may fire when ready."
All right, well, that does it for us today on the Sundari Broadcast. You can find us on YouTube at Sundari Broadcast and on Instagram at the same thing, at Sundari Broadcast Systems. We are live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to do big thanks to Shane, last-minute guest star. Dom.
Bro, have me more on the show. Give me more on.
Will you come as fast as you reply in role play?
Yes, that sounds really wrong, but yes.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
For anybody listening, it is not what you think it is.
Star Wars fun.
Just think D&D, but yes. Star Wars and text-based.
It's where Thronk comes in. Thronk. Thronk.
All right, Shane, plug your social media. Where can people find you? Where can people find you?
Where can I plug it?
You say it.
Say it with your mouth.
Oh, I don't know. You can find me. Okay, you can find me. My Instagram is King Faye. That's a little name right there. Capital KING, FA4E. People always forget that. And then you can also find me on my TikTok. Same thing. It just has an official at the end. But yeah, I do lots of edits. I run multiple Discord servers, even though they all die. I do lots of stuff. I do lots of edits. I'm trying to get more into editing my actual PC and probably helping out people when it comes to YouTube stuff and editing stuff. So yeah.
Dom, where can people find you?
You can find me on TikTok at dshine12 as well as my Instagram and
God, that sucks.
Fuck you. As well as on Discord is also dshine12. Numbers so and so. But yes.
And you can find me on TikTok at CarolinaBoy232. Probably going to rebrand here soon whenever I start making more TikTok content again.
I've just recently getting back into making Star Wars content. I'm very excited about that.
But again, thank you guys for watching. This has been the Sundari Broadcast System, and we will see you next week.